Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As you about to title today's video, you have the top 3 center builds in NBA 2K25. However, it's technically more of like a top 5. So you can see we have 2 different variations of a pure inside. We have 2 different variations of a stretch big, aka like a stage popper, and then also just a true blue stretch big that fits into like Pro-Am and stuff like that, at more likely the 4. And then we have a versatile kind of do-it-all, I'd call it like a hybrid build, where it can play as a pick and roller, pick and popper, it can still play the 5, stuff like that. It will be weaker on defense, but obviously to be bringing driving dunk, standing dunk, 3-point, mid-range, all that to the equation on offense, you probably have to be lacking a little bit more on the defensive end. So it's not even a terrible defensive build by any means, but it will be lacking a little bit in that regard. So again, we have the 2 pure insides, the 2 stretch, and then the hybrid build that can do both. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you do, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new to noties, all good stuff, and like always, try this one to 2,000 likes. So we're gonna start this video off with my 6'9" pure inside. Now, I know a lot of y'all been asking about this. This is not technically my main build, but it is the one I think would work out for you guys best. I don't know if the 6'8" fits everybody's cup of tea as much. This one has a lot more offensive rebound than the 6'8" does, and as a pure inside, you obviously want to be bringing O-board to the table. The 6'8s don't really, achieve a certain level of offensive rebound past 85, at least comfortably. But with this one, as you can see, it's got more strength, so the brick wall is hitting a whole lot better with, as opposed to like 83 or 85 or anything like that with the silver brick wall. And then that's also going to be unlocking a level of box out beast as well, as you can see at the Hall of Fame. And then we also have 94 O-board. Now, here's the deal. You can see the maximums of this build. You eventually would get 96 offensive rebound. The plan is to cap break this eventually to 96 while also getting 93 driving dunk, and you would get gold poster. You get the alley-oop contact packages at 92 as well. It's just overall a very comfortable range to be at for the driving dunk in my opinion. And as a lob threat, this build really shines offensively. That's the whole purpose of it. You want to be a pick and roller, set good screens, force the bigs to step out to your guard, and when they do, the alley-oop is open on the backdoor opportunity of it, of the pick and roll essentially. Or obviously the speed of the build is good with the slips, etc, etc. Again, it brings a lot to the table offensively as far as the rebounding. And also, Toots did a test, in case anybody's curious why I'm targeting that 79 D-board, and that actually lines up perfectly with what the offensive rebound kind of forces it to. But he showed that you get different animations at the threshold of 79, and I was very glad to hear that because I made the build exactly like this, and I'm so glad to hear that it wasn't 80 that is the threshold of that. So I know normally the even numbers of hitting an 80 or a 90 or something like that sound like they click, but Toots has already tested that. Shout out to him for all the content he does as well. But anyway, point being, it's already been kind of proven that the 79 is a nice range to go for, and I've already played on it as well on a build like this, and it still does really good on the rebounding. Granted, I do run the Legend Rebound Chaser because I have cap break the build. I think you on Hall of Fame could definitely still be very doable early on though, and you'd also, like I said, have the box out beast on the Hall of Fame level as well. So what makes 6'9s kind of cool is, as you're going to see, the tier 2 abilities of the perimeter defensive stuff. So you can put like on-ball menace, you can put challenger in the tier 2 slots, whereas like on every other build that's not exactly a thing. As you can see, it lines up pretty well for you to get that interceptor on Hall of Fame as the +1 as well. Or again, you could use something like Rebound Chaser. You could go to a Hall of Fame brick wall level if you would like as well. And all of these things are included. And also, that's another nice thing about the 6'9s. You can get the brick wall in the tier 2 slot as well. So I have 80 vertical for that aerial wizard on Hall of Fame. If you wanted to just go 78 and get the pro contacts, that's fine as well. But I do vouch really hard for the aerial wizard. I think it's a really good badge, and like I said, alley-oops in general are really good. Now, in case y'all were wondering, this is the build that I was showcasing when I was like on the how to stop post scorers build. 88 interior defense paired with being 6'9", also having decent block, good vertical, stuff like that. I'd like to think even the ability to just get on-ball bumpy with the on-ball menace and like the, movable enforcer and stuff like that being on gold as well. I think all that really, shines as far as how to stop post scorers, getting the bumps on them before they can get down low, getting the post move lockdown like high enough as well, and just in general being a little bit bigger. Again, 6'9 versus 6'8, it's not a huge difference, but it does bring a little bit to the table. Anyway, as far as what you would bring to the table offensively on top of that though, with the 60 speed with ball, you get Zion dribble style. It can move pretty good, and even the blowout dribbles up the court are also pretty solid. 80 ball handle as well for the unpluckable, and a lot of different SIGs that are pretty useful for you as well. Again, feel free to check out any of the content I've done on the 6'8", 6'9", stuff like that if you're interested in insides. 89 pass act for that Halliburton pass style, also the versatile visionary on top of that. And I just think 85 is a nice threshold to be hitting. You get the bailout, it's just what's been nice in the past. And then also, just in general, like I said, that Halliburton pass style. 61 free throw, it definitely can hit. It's not terrible, it's not great, but obviously in this game it's a little bit easier to hit free throws. And You don't need to go 90 dunk. This is more so to set you up for the cap break. Like I said, if you don't have any incentive at all with the cap breakers, you could go 89 driving dunk and don't plan on anything higher than this. I wouldn't suggest it personally, but either way, it can get the job done. I've played on a build before I had the rebirth, before I had the cap break, all that stuff, and it was still catching lobs pretty good. It was still contact dunking plenty fine. So 89 driving dunk is not the end of the world. It's just I would prefer the 93. So to at least go 90 and make it so you could +3 your dunk and +2 your O board, that's how I'd like to set this up in the long term. So if you're interested in an inside center build, this is what we're looking at as far as being something that's a viable rebounder and all that. Now, moving on to the other variant of a pure inside, technically, we have the post scorer. So this right here is a 7-1. I didn't want to go 7-3. I do understand that the toxic, really hard to stop builds being 7-3, but as a 7-1, you at least bring something to the table defensively. Like, the speed difference between a 7-1 and 7-3 is just not ideal. If you want to take a look at the comparisons, let's just use 95 strength as the benchmark. So we're going to go ahead and like max out the wingspan and go up to wherever 95 strength is. And as you can see, to get to that 95 strength, we need a 48 speed and a 39 agility, bro. That is unacceptable, in my opinion. That is terrible. When you compare it to this build right here, obviously it's not great, but I mean, to compare that to 61 speed is a big difference in terms of obviously how, you know, playable you are on the perimeter. Not to mention, with 62 perimeter on the dot, you get bronze movable, which in my opinion is something decent to be had at the very least. And also it's something you could put as your max +1 for the tier 2. And I mean, that does go a long way, you know, like there's a lot of stuff in here that it's really hard to afford as a tier 2 being worth having as far as being like a post scorer and stuff like that. You can see like Rise Up, it's not going to be something that fits. Paint Prodigy, not something that fits either. Obviously, none of these are applying to the tier 2s either. So point being, to have a movable enforcer on silver for being 7-1 while also retaining some steel high enough to get the bronze interceptor, I think is pretty valuable. So obviously, you don't bring a lot to the table defensively. It's only 74 block. We obviously don't have the vert high enough to be getting high flying denier in the silver range and stuff like that, but that's okay. Also, you may be wondering about the vertical being so low. In the past, it has been 75 vertical to get the elite big man contact dunks, aka what lines up with 90 standing dunk, but in this year it's 70. So it works out perfectly because honestly going any higher on the vertical is forcing the driving dunk and the driving lay to go up a little bit more, and obviously on a post score you're not really concerned with stuff like that, so it really made for bad budget in terms of like, you know, the value in that sense. But anyway, as far as what it brings to the table offensively, you got 90 standing dunk for, like I said, those elite big man contacts as well as gold rise up, 96 post control to give you like Hall of Fame post powerhouse, post up poet, and unpluckable, which actually is very important in terms of being a post scorer in this year, in my opinion, because the drop steps, they really do they're very susceptible to the plucks, in my opinion, and unpluckable definitely still helps in that regard as well. So all that included, you know, obviously you could use one of your tier 1s on like post powerhouse potentially if you want to just be a drop step spammer, because as you can see, it actually helps with the moving defenders on drop steps. I actually was not aware of that before ending up making kind of like a little post scorer slasher hybrid, if you will, in this game. But anyway, besides that, I wanted to go a little higher on the close shot when it came to making a post score like this, but 92 was easily the most affordable, as well as just lined up good with being Paint Prodigy, obviously. And as you can see, the next threshold would have been 96, but it is extremely expensive to be affording stuff like that. Not to mention, the post control related badges are too. Like, you need 98 post control and 96 strength to be getting Legend post powerhouse, as well as 99 post control. And let me tell you, that was not very convenient in terms of trying to afford it. Like, go ahead and look at this, bro. We'll try and get it to 99 post control right here. And as you can see, we're already at 98 overall. And that we would still need another strength to even get the powerhouse, as well as the fact that we only have like silver rebound chaser and stuff like that too. So long story short, the way I built this 7-1 as a post scorer is intended to be not a complete liability on defense. If you want to play like different game modes like 5s, 2s, very not likely 3s in my personal opinion. But I mean, if you really wanted to, it'd at least make it still work. You know, having 61 speed as opposed to, you know, the 7-3s and stuff like that, it'd be really bad ball. But I don't recommend hopping on 3s with the build like this. The only way you're going to get by doing that, in my opinion, is if you're really lucking out on the fact that like the other team's big isn't very fast or can't shoot or anything like that, you know? Because obviously if you play against a pure inside with a build like this, it's going to be good ball. This is really good to match up with a pure inside like the 6'9" that I showcased earlier, you know? But to be fair, you know, I've done some things when it comes to lineup manipulation where when I show you that stretch big, that's playing the 2 technically. On 2s, me and my boy Tanner, my IRL, we have the 6'9" and the 6'11" stretch that you're seeing in today's video on the 2s together, and we beat builds like this right here at the 2 because my 6'9" can actually still guard this. So it's tough. You know, we have a little switch matchup and stuff like that, and then we play it really toxic where the arrows line me up at the point guard on that 6'9", and then Tanner on the stretch big is a 6'11" who's at the 2. So guys like this have to guard him, and that's also more to my point of why it's important for you to have decent speed, decent perim, because when you get put on an island and you have to guard those people on the perimeter, you do not want to be that dude with like 30-something agility and also like, you know, 50-something speed. Like, it's gonna be bad ball, bro, as well as the fact that your prim D is super low. You can't get things like off-ball pest and immovable enforcer. Granted, off-ball pest actually is through your interior defense, so that's a little bit of cap right there. But either way, point being, it's going to be good enough at stopping other post scores with the really good interior D, and you're tall and stuff like that too. As long as you don't get worked on drop steps, you are going to be able to play some very decent hands-up defense and actually guard them. I think that's another thing that I really do want to stress is very important when it comes to stopping mashing in this game, is when you match up height with height, it gets really toxic. Like, if you guys have ever been out here on the ones court with 2 post scores going at it, it's kind of bad ball unless you can really kill him with a drop step, because bro, when you get the hands up D on like a mash as a 7-1, you're pretty much untouchable in my opinion. Like, it's very good interior defense as far as like having more height in this game for sure. But anyway, again, moving along to the other build that I was talking about that is my 2s duo when pairing it with this 6'9" build right here is the 6'11" stretch big right here. So this is a 6'11" power forward. Again, you could put it at the 4 most ideally, because you actually have to get your weight low enough. If you make it a center, it will not be able to go below 215 on the weight, and you need that agility to be 72 to be able to get the shifty shooter on gold, as well as you need, you know, 68 speed with ball to get lightning launch on bronze, which, to be fair, some people may not be that concerned about. Obviously, you could just go around 60 for the Zion dribble style and call it a day, but I do recommend with a stretch big like this, you have shifty shooter, you have, you know, lightning launch and stuff like that available to you. I think you should, in my opinion. So it's not meant to be an elite rebounder. As you can see, its vertical is pretty weak at 65. The strength isn't anything crazy. It's just, you know, affording us to be able to get silver removable with this 82 right here, and also, you know, be able to attain things like post lockdown, the post powerhouse, stuff like that. We're missing out on brick ball by 1 strength. If you wanted brick wall more than lightning launch, all you got to do, up your weight by 1. As you can see, you're still going to be able to get shifty shooter and stuff like that with a 72 agility, but you wouldn't be able to get lightning launch, but you could get silver brick wall. So that's just one little, you know, tidbit of information that I really wanted to share with you guys, because I think it's something important to know if you were looking to make a build like this. But anyway, pair the strength with the ball handle, you get something like gold strong handle. You get, as you can see, bronze handles for days. Silver unpluckable through your post control, for that matter. And with the 90 post control, you have the legend post fade phenom paired with the 94 mid range. Really good shooting ability with 86 3-pointer. These builds are lights out as spot ups, fellas. I'm telling you, I've played with many of them between tonic and, you know, all types of other just stretch bigs that we've played with as well. And it's really good ball. Good pass accuracy. It's not anything super crazy. Obviously, you know, I will justify this as far as 5s though. These builds can throw plenty decent outlets. I know obviously it'd be more ideal to go 87 or maybe even 89 for the Halliburton pass style and stuff like that. If you wanted to budget the ratings and stuff like that differently, you absolutely could. As you can see though, it's kind of tied to the ball handle. It's tied with the driving dunk. The driving dunk is tied to your vertical. We didn't want to make the vert way too bad. And then you try and take the vert down. It's like, you know, I mean, to be fair, if you really wanted to, maybe you could just go like 60 vert right here, and then you can like really destroy your driving dunk and stuff like that. Go down to like 45, as you can see. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you could tweak the build if you would prefer to, you know, and then maybe this affords you the ability to, as you can see, get more pass hack. So it's up to you. You know, I'm making this more as a template to show you what we're looking at as far as the build a little bit more than anything. But I mean, you know, we'll just go ahead and fill the rest of the build out, and you can just decide to do what you want, whether it's the initial version or this version right here. But yeah, I mean, if you wanted to just destroy your driving dunk a little bit, it's okay. I mean, you're not really intending to do stuff like that, and it's still going to be able to get some packages. It's not going to be great, though. You're meant to be under the basket with the close shots, some standing dunk. The driving lays can be at least somewhat acceptable. I've actually seen Tanner out here on 60 lay, and it's actually insane how much he makes those driving layups while I'm sitting in the paint too, and the big man has to just decide between guarding me and guarding him. It's honestly hilarious to like watch that stuff happen. But anyway, the build gets Hall of Fame set shot specialist. I would very much so recommend using that max +1 on this right here to get it to legend. I think that's really good ball. Pairing that with the ability to shoot from 3. I mean, it'd be really good. So yeah, I mean, this is the revamped version if you wanted to look at something for the pass accuracy. Again, it's just taking down the vert. You lose out on pogo stick. That's pretty much it, you know. And obviously just 5 more vert. But hey, I don't really think you should be too concerned about that. I know some people have seen animations where like you fly in for rebounds, and a lot of people think that's vertical based, but I'm telling y'all, I think it's just a mechanic in the game where when you're getting those downhill runs into rebounds, you'll just fly over people who are stationary. So anyway, into version number 2 of the outside bigs. I know people are going to think this is a trash build, but let me tell y'all, I've played against builds like this on 3v3, and it's very frustrating to run into them, to be honest, where it's just like these pretty much lockdowns that come out here as a popper. So they just have a ton of strength for the brick wall. They come out here and just shoot really good off the pick and pops. They have a good enough shooting rating to justify that, and you know, the mid-range gets some badges and stuff like that paired with the good jump shots, etc., etc. It's enough pass accuracy to still play as a somewhat serviceable big man. And long story short, you'd probably play more so the power forward on 5s for sure with this, and I'm even going to argue that it's really not even acceptable in that regard, because the interior D and block are just too bad in my opinion. So this is mainly 100% meant to be a 3v3 build, and maybe more so something that could fit in at the 2 on 2v2, but it's definitely a park big, as you can see. Like, you know, decent prim, and you're able to switch on screens. You got 94 steal for that Hall of Fame interceptor, the 92 rebound for the goal rebound chaser, and then also still decent O-board. I know it's not perfect, but it could still get the job done in terms of, again, a little park setting against other undersized bigs and stuff like that too. Good speed, solid agility, enough for that slippery off-ball and the on-ball menace as far as that threshold. Again, 91 strength for that brick wall, and you still get the immovable enforcer, stuff like that. 74 vert for the silver high-flying denier, and again, overall, it's meant to just be something that forces switches and is really good to hit those pick and pops against, you know, tall bigs that don't want to guard the pick and pop very well. And it's not like bigs want to switch onto the guard very much off a screen, so if a big does get stuck on you as far as being, you know, having to guard you, you with all that motion of screening, getting the lock caught on you, and then the big having to step to the guard yet still chase you on a pick and pop, let me tell you, in this game, it is extremely hard to guard stuff like that. The off-ball movement is so much faster off the pass than the defense can keep up with. I don't know who's seen it. After I say this, pay attention to it when you play the game. I'm telling y'all, it's really frustrating to play against when you play against poppers that are just spamming the pick and pop and the pop slips and stuff like that, where you as the dropper or the backside defender of the screen, I'll say, are not playing sides defense. Sides defense is the absolute remedy to every problem you could have with guarding pick and pop, because then you keep everything accountable as far as being able to guard the pop and the guard. Whereas when you're in drop defense on the backside, you're stuck having to play hedge off the screen. So you got to step to the point guard when he runs all the way left off a screen. You got to help for the point guard's drive where he runs like downhill off the screen. And then you got to guard the popper in the other direction as well. And it's impossible. I'm telling you, it is impossible to play all three things at the same time. So builds like this create that problem where it's super fast, super good at shooting, and has the mobility in general to do all that. So again, it's really tough to keep up with builds like that on 3s, but this build has such a hard time fitting in anywhere other than 3v3, maybe 2s, you know? But that's why it's tough in this year's game, in my opinion, to have one big man build, because there's so many different ways that you can play. Like, all of these builds are so justified. Post scores are super good. Stretch bigs, in general, the actual stretch big is super good. The popper on 3s is super good. Pure insides can be good if it fits your play style, and it's a really good rebounder and just is around the hoop a lot. And now the accumulation of all of it, we have the 6'11" hybrid build that is playing as a true try and do it all type build. This was made by me and my boy Dre, kind of in comprehension of trying to make a build that fits a 5-out offense as a center. So what we came up with right here is a build that gets 92 offensive rebound. It's lacking the steal. You can't get passing lanes at all. Well, actually, I've seen him get like a couple of them for sure, and he's actually kind of been a dog in the lanes on this for some reason. This game's broken, bro. But anyway, with the build, it's only 74 block and it's 74 interior D. We wanted to meet in the middle with this because you really could go down to, like, you know, a really low level of interior defense and try and get that high-flying denier and stuff like that. So if you wanted to, you could do that. You could go lower on the interior D, higher on the block. If you really wanted to, you could probably afford, as you can see, 60 steal for bronze interceptor as well. It's just, Dre and I have both seen how this game plays with interior defense, and I do believe in it, at least enough to say that I think it's worth going for that bronze post move lockdown, and just the threshold in general of it, just, you know, just the rating being higher as well. So it's only 40 speed with ball. It only gets normal dribble style. It's definitely better than basic though. So make sure, even though, yeah, you could save some ratings here and there on the build, make sure you get 40 speed with ball, bro. It's just going to be overall a better experience for you on the game. It can move a lot better after doing that. 75 pass sack, yes, I understand, is a little bit of a sacrifice, but here we are with the 89 mid-range for that gold set shot specialist, as well as 82 three-pointer, just to make it more hittable, bro. Let me tell you guys why this is the case too. All right, so making a build like this intended for a 5-out offense, I'm gonna tell you very confidently who the defense is leaving if I, as the point guard, ever get by somebody. It's going to be the center every single time. Why? Because the other team's big man is probably matched up on a build like this. That's who is intending to drop on any help defense because he's got more block, more interiority, and more size just in general. So who's getting the majority of the shots in the game when it comes to three-point attempts in a 5-out offense? Let me tell you, easy answer, ding, ding, ding. It's this build right here. And to do some nonsense, bro, where you have a 74 three-pointer as a max wingspan, 7-footer, 7'1", even the max wing 6'11" and stuff like that. I think it's crazy talk, bro. Have more rating and just better jump shots, better badges to be able to shoot the ball. Simple answer, in my opinion, because this build is going to have to shoot the ball a lot on this game in a 5-out offense. Unless you play with someone who's more got more comprehension in the pick and roll, where you could then utilize the inside aspect of the build with pretty good close shot, as you can see, enough for Silver Paint Prodigy. We got the 70 layup for the physical finisher as well. 89 driving dunk for, once again, some contact alley-oop ability, as well as like the pro contact dunks for the driving. We even still have the silver rise up with, standing pro contact dunks, not the elite big man contact dunks, because obviously that's a little bit tough to afford on the standing dunk. The only downside to this build is we couldn't find a really good thing to use the cap break points on. So if you want to remake this build in anticipation of the cap breakers, maybe try and get the build 90 standing dunk because of that or something, definitely feel free to go for that. But once again, we have the threshold of the 79 defensive rebound right there, 92 O-board as well. We also got enough for a pogo stick off the vert being high enough. I believe if I take that vert down, let me do this real quick. I believe, yeah, as you can see, if you were to go lower, you couldn't really get the pogo. To be fair, though, I think you would go 78 regardless, so it's probably not a huge deal. But anyway, the gold box out beast, the silver brick wall, all that with the 83 strength. Good enough agility. It's only silver shifty shooter, but I think that's definitely still acceptable in terms of a build like this. So overall, you're kind of like I said, it's a hybrid between a stretch big and an inside, where you have the ability to shoot off the dribble and be kind of crafty with the stretch big kind of factors of it. And again, I know it's only 40 speed of ball, but trust me, it can still move decent. It's not a complete liability on defense. It's still got, the bronze challenger, the silver removable enforcer, stuff like that. And then again, it's not a complete liability in terms of interiority either, but you probably don't want to guard the paint with it intentionally in a lot of situations, but we've had Dre do it, and it's been plenty acceptable. Now, granted, I think Dre's a pretty good player as well, so I just want to, preface that a little bit. Also, we rebuilt his build a little bit differently, and it had 90 mid-range to be able to get Michael Porter Jr. base. Okay, yeah, so this is what we did. We took the speed down by 1 and then pretty much minimized the free throw. So it's like 67 free throw, 90 mid-range, and then we took the speed down by 1. So if you want the MPJ base and you want to take his word for it, it's definitely what he wanted, and he's been shooting pretty good on the build. So if you want to take his word for that, feel free to remake it with just, like I said, the 1 less speed and a little bit less free throw. But overall, I'm pretty satisfied with how this build is played. It's everything I dreamed it would be. A really good contact lob finisher. It can dunk below the basket. Dre's been meter dunking underneath with this as well, which I've been very intrigued to see off the fact that he only has the 81 standing, and he can still get the driving meter dunks as well. I mean, man, it is a nasty build out here. Like, I know it doesn't look great on paper in some cases. Like, oh, it can't lane. It doesn't have great interiority. It doesn't have great prim. It doesn't even have elite rebounding or anything like that. It's mediocre in the physicals. It's mediocre in the finishing. Guess what? Everything mediocre as a good player, as the person using it, can be elite in a lot of regards, for sure. So, anyway, that's all video. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, feel free to drop a like, sub if you're new to noties, all good stuff, and like always, try to win to 2,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put your favorite build in the comments here. You could just put like post, slasher, stretch, popper, or all around, I guess, or do it all, or hybrid if you would like as well. But anyway, long story short, just any of these 5 builds that you think you'd like the most, or you could just tell me in the comments what you like for your big man builds. Because man, I tell y'all what, I just tweeted about this earlier today as well when I was trying to, be in anticipation of making a video like this. There are so many options out here at center this year, bro. It is insane. I don't think there's anything being left in the dust this year. I guess pure insides feel a little bit underpowered just off the fact that like standing meter dunking isn't like super broken or anything like that like it was last year. But still, being around the hoop consistently for the offensive rebounds is very valuable, as well as just being an elite offensive rebounder in general because of shooting being so hard in the game, So Whether it's you spacing the floor for your point guard to be a little bit more slash oriented and you being a stretch big, or it's you being the inside itself, crashing the rebounds as your point guard chucks fades, just praying that he's going to make them, you know, which granted, that is also what people do in this game on the threes and stuff like that. There's a lot of variety and a lot of styles that are very doable as far as playing as a big man. So whatever you do, hey, I'd like to think it's still justified. There's plenty of options. So anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Than that, take it easy, man. Peace.